if AI can do 80% of what humans do, business will always take that. They're just gonna go for that because AI won't be sick and won't need a raise, right? So how do we overcome this? And I think this is something that I think it will be interesting to talk because we do have some ideas of what you could do to prepare for this, and we can just talk about that right now, right? On today's show, we're diving into a hard hitting topic: the increased wave of tech layoffs and AI's undeniable role in this shift. Inspired by Sam Altman's recent comments about AI creating more inequality and the latest rounds of layoffs at Meta happening right now, we're going to discuss how automation and AI are reshaping the workforce for the worse. I'm Daniel,
Matheus.
and this is the Human AI Experience. Okay, let's get straight to it. Like Meta just announced another round of layoffs with thousands of employees losing their jobs. And it's not just them, other tech giants like Google and Amazon have been quietly reducing headcount as well. So now, while companies often blame, restructuring or economic conditions, there's an elephant in the room that nobody's talking about, and it's AI. We're seeing more and more jobs being automated, and businesses are seizing the opportunity to replace human workers with AI-driven tools that are faster, cheaper, and never been and then they don't need a lunch break. But
É, tá
but
bom.
we're seeing more and more jobs being automated, and businesses are basically taking the opportunity, right, to replace human workers with AI-driven tools to just get things faster and cheaper. And yeah, that's the weird reality that we're living right now.
Yeah, it's crazy because it's the perks and unfortunately the bad side of the AI. We were expecting that actually. We talked about that in the previous episode about Klarna, and I have seen the same with Klarna actually. They're not hiring anyone, and they are actually laying off some people because they automated so many processes, as we mentioned here. Yeah, they're more profitable using less resources, so they don't need as many people as they needed before. So it's crazy.
Yeah, that's how capitalism work, right? So you need to maximize your profits, and a big part of the cost of a company is usually payroll. So it's like people's salaries. But at the same time, there's no economy if you automate everything. So it's a bit crazy where it seems that we're heading that way, and it's uncharted territory. Nobody knows what's going to happen. And on top of all of that, oh, sorry, you wanted to mention something?
No, just I always think about this. Like, I don't know the right name, but it's like universal income or something like that, where everyone would receive a salary even though you don't work, something like that. So you have a minimum income to buy the basic stuff, and then you can, of course, work in parallel or do some creative work to get some money out of it. Maybe that's the solution, but it's a bit scary to think about that. If you think that okay, there is no workforce needed anymore, so we just use robots and AI and everything. So you just, I don't know, use your time to reflect about life. What's gonna be the next?
Yeah, it's interesting that you mentioned that because it kind of taps into the other subject that we would like to address here, which is basically what Sam Altman, the CEO of
Yeah.
OpenAI, he recently made a blog post where we can link in the show notes the post where he acknowledged that AI is creating more inequality, and that's exactly what we're witnessing. That's exactly what we're seeing, right? And so the technology is advancing in an incredible speed, but instead of distributing benefits evenly, it's allowing big companies to cut costs at the expense of their workers, right? So he acknowledges that in the blog post, and that AI has the potential to drive significant economic growth, but the benefits may not be evenly distributed. So potentially favoring those with greater access to technology and resources, right? We know how expensive are to train this and to host these AI tools, at least for now. And you need to have a lot of money to operate them or to use them. So it's definitely not equal. The opportunities are
Yeah.
not equal. But he tries to offer solutions, right? And he mentions two things to curb this the potential to increase inequality, right? One of them is what he calls compute budget system, where basically suggests that implementing this system can help democratize AI accesses and reduce technological inequality. I don't know much how does that means. Is this does this means that this is going to be open source and then everybody will have access, or is just another marketing tool, right?
Yeah. Yeah, like that the OpenAI is not that open anymore, which is it's a bit um yeah. So they started as an open source model, but now they're kind of a profitable company, and that's what Elon Musk did like last week, where he tried to buy OpenAI. You know, he made a bid around that, so he just put it like $91 billion. And this is actually a really interesting strategy. I was reading about that because when he did that, he was putting like a price in an open source company, that is not open anymore. That's the thing. So it's kind of contradictory, and he knew that before. That's why he left the company like a couple of years ago. And now, if he's bidding that, he's putting a price on the company. So the company, it would be really bad if Sam Altman, for instance, sell the company for a lower price than Elon Musk put it. So in a way or another, he's playing with the economical scenario, which for me is really interesting to see that, because it's a battle that it should be open. It should be more. Now China is launching a lot of open source models. They're really good. Why not OpenAI are doing the same? Because they should be having access to everyone. So I hope this compute budget that you are mentioning here, it's an open source model, or maybe it can increase the access to other people.
Yeah. Um it doesn't seem like it's that, but
Yeah.
hopefully,
Yeah.
hopefully, deeps the whole thing with DeepSeek uh, helps us realize that we need to democratize these technologies. They're too powerful to be just in the hands of just a few companies, right? Like it is today. But another thing that he actually mentions is what you just mentioned, the universal basic income.
Yeah.
So he mentions that this can ensure that there's economic gains from AI. That basically the economic gains from AI are shared broadly. So he actually funded apparently some UBI universal basic incomes trials to explore how effective it is.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, and in case of job displacement, caused by AI, then you people have the at least their basic costs covered by this thing. I think Elon Musk also would mention that some years
Yeah.
ago that I mean, if we're going to a collapse of the economy because everything is automated, there's no way out of this. I also think this is you need to give
Yeah.
we need to have that. But the problem is who's paying that
Exactly.
cost, right?
Yeah. Usually you think about the government or the social politics, would make this job, but they have I don't know, the government, the governance, they don't have like infinite money, so it's kind of a, I don't know, the big techs should pay that, somehow, because if they are automating everything, they should put some money back in the public, because if they don't have anyone to buy it, so it's a kind of a collapse of a system, let's say, because if no
Yeah,
one buys the stuff because they don't have money, you cannot sell stuff, because so it's kind of a stop all the production in a way or another.
it's a bit of a paradox.
Yeah, it's a paradox. And
So
yeah, we have a similar programming in Brazil. Like I was like listening to some podcasts that they call it, it's a social income. So it's reaching a lot of people. So it's kind of a way of people accessing like the basics, like food and other stuff. So you just need to put your son at school. That's the programming in Brazil, and I think it works. It works good, because without that, people will not have money to buy food. Which is the basic of the basics. So we're another we're experimenting a similar thing, but it's not for everyone. You need to be in a poverty level, and you need the resources. So here another is a similar thing than the universal basic income.
yeah, there's a lot of social programs that kind of like support people in need, right? And there's also, I've seen a lot of studies that mention that when you give this kind of help, because there's a lot of assumptions from people that are not interested in paying taxes that support these programs, because they think people are going to get lazy and then they're not going to work and then do. But no, actually it's the opposite. When you support these people, they're more likely to go and find a job, or progress in their careers. They want to leave that situation. But if you don't have that, then you're stuck into this really terrible cycle where you every day you're just trying to survive, right? So
Yeah,
if that gives you the basic coverage, like it covers your basic needs, then you have more mental energy, and then uh, you feel a bit more safe to take risks and to just go to job interviews, to just it pushes you out of your inertia, right? So
yeah. The things that, if you don't prepare this people, like for example, or if you don't have payments in the job market that are bigger than the ones that you receive in the basic income, let's say, people will not move towards the job. So that's quite of a, it might be the scenario, when AI will reach the level of cutting all the jobs. Because I was thinking, as an architect, um, I know that at some day you just ask like for an AI, like I need a house with 60 square meters, with 2 rooms, with that and that and that. So you just put it at the prompt on the AI, and the AI will give you so many options. It's gonna be easier for you to just choose one of the options than ask an architect to take your imagination out of your mind and do a project. That's my job. Try to understand what you're saying and what you're asking me, and then interpreting that and putting in the paper. So AI will do that faster, with more options than I can do by myself. So I can see that at some point I will be replaced by the AI, and it is gonna happen in many different cases. So how can we fight that? That's the question. That's no, not fight that, but how can we adapt to that?
um, yeah, but do you think the answers are comparable to what you could deliver, right? So I guess
Yeah,
that's the point. I mean, it will be able to give you a lot of things, but everything that it does is basically is based, or the suggestions is based on some existing material. I'm not saying
yeah,
that human creativity doesn't follow the same premises, right? Because we're also, nothing comes from nowhere. Like when you're
yeah,
creating, you're basically pulling all your life experience, your references, the things that you've, all the different types of architectural styles and elements that you've seen, and then you're creating, trying to create something new with all these inspirations, right? Of course, AI
Yeah,
does that as well, but I think there's a limit of how creative it can be, at least at this stage. So I don't think human creativity will disappear, and it might give you some options, but you could take it to another level, right? So the point, I think, at this
yeah,
stage, it's how can we work together with these tools to enhance our capabilities, right?
yeah. I think that's the big question and the million dollar the million dollar question. Let's say because
But
yeah, of course I'll be the best one to choose the option. For example, if I have this opportunity to make this because I know what is better for the client and for the technical parts. For example, if you put a 6 square meter house in the AI, and from all the options, I'll be the best one to choose. Because I have a lot of experience and background on what I'm doing. Um, so yeah, I believe we need to work with that. But at some point, I don't know if it's gonna be automated. All this, like considering sun and all that stuff. Maybe AI will give you a better option than me. That's what I'm saying. I think it's gonna surpass our capacity. Um, yeah, it's a complicated question. I think it's
it is.
the scenario is it's hard to predict.
And but just to go back a bit of because
Yeah,
we
yeah,
just wanted to talk about Meta. We went on a
yeah,
tangent, but it was important. It was interesting to extrapolate and
yeah,
what can happen, right? Like
yeah,
we're not talking about 50 years. We're talking like about maybe 10. So it's
yeah, or maybe
around the
less.
corner. So, but just wanted to talk a little bit about Meta, and because they've been ramping up their AI powered content moderation. They're doing some customer service and even advertising algorithms. They're just basically ramping up their AI investment, right? And last year they laid off 11,000 employees, and now they're cutting more people. So at least that's what they claim, is that their AI driven automation is handling more tasks that used to require human input, and their ad targeting, for example, their customer interaction. So, and this is just not, it's not just speculation. Basically, Mark Zuckerberg said openly in an interview with Joe Rogan's in Joe Rogan's podcast that they want to become a leaner AI powered company. So they're investing heavily
Yeah,
to basically, I mean, it's not. They started as AI assist, but now they're replacing people with AI. That's the truth, right?
yeah. That's what's gonna happen more and more. We know that. I think it's become, as we talked in the previous podcast about gig economy. I think we're gonna see more people that are like one person business, because with AI agents you can do a lot more with only by yourself, because you put the AI to work with you, So I think that might be the scenario for next years. This adaptation will be more like, okay, I am the business, and you're gonna bring all the AI with you. So you're gonna be you and like 10 AIs, different people. I don't know, agents working with you.
Yeah, I mean we've seen that a lot of freelancers are benefiting a lot from AI because it can automate a lot
Yeah,
of things or mundane tasks, and then it frees you more time to do more with less.
yeah,
Um, All of a sudden you're basically, yeah, you can do more work by having an AI assistant, right? And
yeah,
sometimes you would have to have, let's say, a copywriter or something, and then you can use ChatGPT to help you at least with the copy for some particular project. So there
yeah,
are some benefits, and now I remember that Sam Altman said at some point that there's going to be a lot of $1 billion person's business, which is,
Yeah,
but that's not sustainable. So for me, this is just
yeah,
pure marketing. But I do agree that maybe we're gonna see a scenario very very soon where a lot of these companies will automate a lot of things, and then people will have to find ways to maybe creating their own business, focusing on small niches where they can, they have like some loyalty customers. Because if you are like a small one person business, you don't need 1,000 customers. You just need 20 or 10
yeah,
people that
yeah,
pay fairly for the service or product that you to offer, and then that's enough for you to make a living. You don't need much. So
yeah.
I think there's a lot of misunderstanding into that as well.
And I was listening to another podcast about, and there was a guy that I really like. He's a copywriter, and he was saying exactly like that. Like I just trained in AI. I put then he started like saying what he was doing. Like he took some comedians shows, all the material that he put it online. So he just took all the transcripts of that, put it and trained the AI to be a bit more like the comedian. So he was trying to do, because in Brazil, when you sell something, you need to be a bit funny, let's say. So better than me like that. So all the commercials, they have this funniest side, So they were always trying to break the rules of the companies, like super squared, let's say. So it's kind of the way that we sell in Brazil is more like funny. So he was just feeding the AI with a lot of comedians material, and then he was training the AI. Okay, this is irony. This is sarcasm, and then stuff like that. So he was trying to explain the AI how the AI can understand and replicate this model, and he was having really good results. He was saying like, he's creating something with my mindset, because I was training so much. He spent like days, maybe 30 days, like just feeding the AI and training the AI, and then the AI is like maybe doing the same job as he's doing, or maybe it's something better, I don't know. And that's the way that he was like, creating the his last campaigns and then having successful with that. So he's seeing the scenario like that, so you just use AI, train that, and then reuse it.
Yeah, and a clever approach to maximize your exposure, right? And no understand, but he also understood what resonates with the target group or the public that he's addressing. And there's a
Yeah,
lot of, in marketing we call that localization. So you always have to have a different message depending on the company that you're actually targeting to. Oh, sorry, depending on the country you're targeting, because
yeah,
what might work in Germany might not work in the UK, for example. There's just different people, different mindsets, different cultures. So you need to adapt a little bit. So
yeah,
so interesting, yeah, interesting use case. Maybe we should
yeah,
make an
and
episode
then
about that
yeah, we can do it. We can do it.
and break down his process, just because I think it's interesting. Maybe we should also be doing that for the
Yeah, I
podcast.
think so. I think so. We could do that, definitely. Yeah,
But
but
just
I just yeah, I created another cycle of out of the episode to come back to the
yeah,
original
just
episode.
just want to mention that there's a divide now. So there's one side where you have executives and shareholders that are benefiting from an increase efficiency and profit margins, right? And then the other side, you have the workers, and especially in middle management or entry level positions, they are just feeling the impact of job losses, or if they have been laid off, they are facing a much smaller job market to try to get back in, right? And then at the same time, we're also, things are changing. So there's more demand for understanding AI and knowing AI. So positions are changing as well. So we're in this weird transitioning period, right?
Yeah,
And yeah, and it's not just tech companies. Like AI automation is coming for customer service representatives, like copywriters, engineers. I've seen some AI automation where these very complex engineering parts are basically being
Yeah,
text to 3D prompting, where you can actually generate this highly complex engineering parts. But I think the biggest question is if AI can do 80% of what humans do, business will always take that. They're just gonna go for that because AI won't be sick and won't need for a raise, right? So
yeah,
how do we go from this reality? How do we overcome this? And I think this is something that I think it will be interesting to talk because we do have some ideas of what you could do to prepare for this, and we can just talk about that right now, right? So
yeah. Usually, when we think about the actual market, like nowadays, when we think about engineers and other like more rational jobs, they earn more. They earn more money than the humane areas, like for example, philosophy or history and stuff like that. And that might change with AI, because you need to be good and intellectual, more prepared intellectually speaking. So you need to read more and know how to ask things better. So we're replacing the way the world works in somehow. Because if engineers and architects and every like technical job, they can be replaced by people asking the right questions for AI. You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah,
So in a way or another, we need to be more intellectual. We need to read more. We need to write more. So for me, that's the way we should prepare for the next generation of because this is a revolution. We are passing through a revolution.
I agree. I agree. It's also the inherently human skills will there's already I can already see that, and I've read this. It's the World Economic Forum released this uh, report
Reports.
about the future of work where they list like 20 skills that you should focus on, and then there's a lot of those are basically human skills like creativity, problem
Yeah,
solving, analytical. But we're preparing an episode for next week where we're gonna talk about all these skills, and we're gonna help you prepare and where you can learn and what you can do with that. But I just want to focus on a few of those things now, and one of them is you. I know it's going to sound repetitive. We've been talking since we started this podcast, but this is the truth. The best way to stay ahead during this time is to start using these tools today.
yeah,
Companies are integrating AI into workflows, so you need to be more familiar with that, with these tools, and be more prepared for when your company or the next company you work with are basically adopting this technology. So go out there, open ChatGPT, start talking to it. Learn by doing.
yeah,
And I think another one is also learning the language of AI. So what does that mean? You don't need to be a programmer. You just need to understand how these things work, how they, you know, how so how do you
yeah,
interact with it, like through prompt engineering to automation of workflows, really can set you apart. So you can take a free basic AI training like on Coursera or YouTube, but we're going to link one that is official from Google in the chat in the show notes. It's a 20, sorry, as I recall, it's a 20 minutes. It's just a Google introduction to AI, and it's pretty cool. I think you should definitely try that.
yeah.
You want to
And I think
compliment?
that's yeah, just to it's the same, basically the same that we're talking now. But yeah, I think we should read more. Should spend a bit less time in the social media and take more books. to read that, because I think that that prepare you better for understanding the language of AI, and to know how to ask questions. I think that's the key point. And I've been reflecting about myself, like doing this during this period. How can I become better asking things? So I think that's the work that we all should do.
Yeah, communication skills. That's essential
Yeah,
because we're in this transition from computer interfaces to conversational interfaces, right? So
yeah,
we're not gonna send inputs to computers anymore. We're gonna tell them what we want them to give it to us, and they're gonna operate themselves. So it's a big
yeah,
mindset. It's a big paradigm shift. We're going. It's a different phase. It's a different way to use a computer, right? So we need
yeah,
to get better at doing that. And like you
yeah,
said, be learn how to express yourself better, because then you whatever you can extract from these new tools will be much more
will benefit. It will benefit you better, if you know how to ask.
so make sure you check out the next episode where we're going to go over the top 10 skills to thrive in the AI in the age of AI. That's it for today. See you next week. If you enjoyed the show, please consider leaving a review on Apple Podcasts. It's free and helps us a lot. This way, it can help us also reach new listeners. Oh, and if you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe on your favorite podcast platform to stay up to date on our latest episodes. If you have any questions for us, reach out to us at hello@humanaixp.com or connect with us on Instagram. Thanks for listening. See you next week.